Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episode. I'm ready. I got a fresh cup of coffee right here. Big coffee guy. Always have been a huge coffee guy. I love it. I think a lot of people in this world, especially in this country, are kind of like me. In a way, addicted to coffee. Now, I don't think like I'm addicted is where like I need it every day. But if I can have it, I'm going to have it because I really enjoy coffee. Not only because of the effect that it has on me as in terms of like waking me up a little bit more than normal, but I enjoy the taste of coffee. I always have. I think that it is an exquisite taste that people usually start to like around the age of 20 when they like become like young adults. And because like, you know, at that age you're on the move, whether it's like work, college, both, you know, you need something to sort of give you a little bit of a pick me up, but also that tastes pretty good. For me, I'm not much of a Starbucks, Dutch Bros type of goer. I just usually make my own coffee, and I usually make it every few days in the morning. Like right now I'm on my second cup of coffee. I already had one. I'm on my second cup, and I usually limit it to 2 cups a morning when I do have coffee. Because, I don't know, I just feel like if I have 3, I might overdo it and be wired, which, you know, is a good thing, right? I mean, being wired in the morning when you gotta do stuff is what you want, right? I think everybody has like these days, usually like in the morning when you have a little bit of free time, like you wake up and you don't necessarily have to be at work in the morning. Like you have like a mid shift or something like that. You kind of get the feeling like you don't need to be up right now. You could probably keep on sleeping. You can keep on sleeping, get some more energy for the rest of the day. And I have kind of become a little bit more of an anti-sleeping in guy. Because I think that, you know, being able to do things with the time that you have during the day, whether it be, you know, something that's not even totally that productive, right? I could just like, you know, surf the web, watch a TV show, watch a YouTube video. To me, that is much more productive than continuing to sleep, even though sleeping in is incredible. It's an incredible feeling that I think that, you know, most people don't get to experience that often. And when you can, you should probably try it. See how it feels. See like the benefits of sleeping in, because I do think that getting extra sleep can be a good thing, but also ultimately kind of takes away from your day. And I think that in my experience, while drinking 2 cups of coffee kind of limits that. You know, it does in a way, even though I don't really feel it. I do tend to be more spruce and not want to go to sleep as often if I don't have the coffee. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is, you know, kind of a thing that, you know, most people can probably, you know, take up. And if you have an issue where, you know, you wake up and you don't got to be up at this time, really, you can probably keep on sleeping, then by all means, maybe have some coffee to get yourself awake. You know, this is also only if you've already had 8 hours of sleep. If you haven't had 8 hours of sleep, you should probably get that 8 hours. No, you should not probably. You should get 8 hours. 8 hours is what you need to fully operate as a human being every morning or whenever you wake up. And you need that. But let's say you do get 8 hours. You wake up, your alarm goes off, you wake up, and you're like, oh, this is when I'm supposed to be awake. I went to bed on time yesterday. But I could probably sleep some more. I encourage you to not, because it would feel good. Trust me. I know that feel. I don't normally get it that often, but I know sleeping in can feel really good. But if you trust me, if you have 8 hours, you're solid. You're good for the day. You might not feel like it when you start to wake up and you roll around, you check your phone, and then you kind of, put your phone back down. Maybe you get a little bit more comfortable in your bed, get under the covers more, and then you're getting all warm and you're like, oh, I could sleep a lot longer. Get up. I honestly, I would just say, you know what? Get up, get out there, go do something, get some coffee in you, and do something that is not sleeping, because anything besides sleeping would be considered productive as long as it's not sleeping. Even though if it's something super lazy and not really, doing anything major, it's a lot better than just sleeping, I think. I mean, coming from a person who used to do nothing but sleep during like college, and when he had days off, I would just sleep a lot. And I thought to myself, like, man, I'm sleeping way too much. Even though like I loved it, and my friends would be like, you sleep a lot. My family would be like, you sleep so much. You come back from work, you take a nap. You wake up, you eat breakfast, you take a nap. It's like, I mean, like now, as you get older and you want to do more things, and you want to have more experiences, and you want to, just, like, you realize the time that you have is precious, even more precious than it was in your early 20s. You think like, oh, I got so much that I want to do, not just like in my life, but just in the day. Like, there's so much that I could be doing that would be, beneficial to not only myself, but my mind. Like, there are so many things that I would like to do, honestly. Like, I want to travel the world. I want to go to like Europe. I want to go to the Middle East. I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Asia. Hell, I don't even want to go to like South America, the Caribbean. Bro, I would want to go everywhere. Like, if you really think about it, like if you like actually like talk to somebody who like, just anybody. I think that anybody that you talk to, if you ask them, would you want to go to like Europe? I'm pretty sure a lot of them would say yes. Like, not to live there, but to like visit and to see other places in the world. I'm pretty sure they would all say yes. Because now, like, we're in like the age of like, we have jobs now, we have responsibilities, we got bills to pay. We know what we have to do, right? We know exactly what we have to do every single day, and that we have, precious time, that the precious time that we have, we have to do things that also keep us afloat in life, right? The time that we have working, we know that we need to do it because we need to keep our lives afloat and be members of the society and pay our bills, and do stuff like that. And being able to live, buying groceries, make, sometimes unexpected expenses. My tire's flat. I need to get this repaired. I need a new window. I need to fix my door. My AC or my heater is not working. Stuff like that. To keep living at a pleasant and normal state of living, as normal as possible, right? And if we could take the time to not do that, working expenses, right? I'm talking like, what I mean by like going other places to get away. Ultimately, vacation. Would you want to go to Europe? Would you want to go to another country and chill and not worry about that for like a week or two? I think a lot of people would say, hell yeah, absolutely. A paid vacation? Oh my God, doesn't that sound unbelievable? And not just like, a staycation where you don't go anywhere, right? Like actually go somewhere and go see something. Like right now, honestly, if I had like 2 weeks off, right? If I could take off 2 weeks from work responsibilities and just go somewhere, a different location, right? I wouldn't go anywhere in the United States. I would go to probably, this is going to sound super cliche, but my number one spot that I would go to is probably Italy. And I know that it's like a high, a super touristy place, and like a lot of people go there for vacation and stuff like that. But honestly, it's probably the number one place to travel for tourists and like European vacations. It has to be. I mean, I also like imagine like France would be like one of them too, and like possibly like Spain and Portugal, place like that are like near like oceans, water sources that you can like go to a beach or something like that, or have some really good scenery, right? Like I would love to just like go to like the south of France or the south of Italy and just like just vacation there and just see what it's like over there. There's a lot of people that I follow on social media that have traveled to other countries, a lot of them being European countries like Italy and France and all that, right? Every time, and these people like to, post updates like during vacation and when they get back, right? And there's always this comparison that they, start to compare as soon as they get back to America. And one of the things that I see is they're so thankful when they return to America for ice. Ice. It's like a simple post like, oh, Italy was great, France was great, but now I'm thankful for ice coming out of my refrigerator. And I'm thinking to myself, like, do Europeans not know what ice is? Do Europeans not know how to make ice? Crazy, right? Like, I mean, like, it's such a, for us as Americans, a household thing, right? To have refrigerators that are also ice machines that give you ice in your cup to make your drink that isn't cold yet cold and refreshing. Now, I mean, like, it doesn't make it refreshing, but the coldness is a refreshing enhancer, And I'm always baffled, like, how this is always like a common, like, point out that, oh, I'm back in America and I missed having ice. And I'm just like, now I haven't been to Europe, but Europe, y'all got to get on board with like the modern day innovation of ice. We have ice. It's possible. You put it in a tray, put some water in an ice tray, put it in a freezer, and then you got ice. Like, what is the problem there? But then I thought about it. Europeans don't really have freezers. So they don't really have like an ability to freeze water, I think. Like, if I'm being honest, and my knowledge on European living is very, minute. It's small. I don't know much about Europeans. All I know is that they have siestas and they're lazy. I don't think that they have freezers or ice machines. Like, I know, like, well, I've heard that in Italy, they have, like, coolers just for, like, putting stuff, like, food that they're going to consume that day that they get from their markets, and then that's it. And then it's pretty much empty. They got no chow in their house because everything is pretty much made fresh. Nothing is meant to last, like, 2 weeks like milk. Milk in the United States, which is insane because you think about it, right? Milk here, a gallon of milk could last you 2 full weeks, possibly 3 if you get like a good batch, right? A fresh batch, freshly pasteurized and batch of milk could last you possibly 3 weeks, And how many of you, and I know it's a lot of you, I know a ton of you have drinking like milk that has passed the expiration date. I know I have. How you crack open the milk for the first time and it's like nice and fresh, You use it periodically, sometimes daily, multi-daily, but sometimes you stop using the milk, You don't want cereal anymore, you want some eggs, in the morning. And you kind of stop making cereal and stop using the milk. And then one day, after a couple weeks, you want to go back to it. You're like, oh, I want some cereal. And then you check the milk and you see, oh, shoot, it expired 3 days ago. But I really want that cereal right now. That sounds really good. And you twist open the milk cap and then you put your nose on the mouth of the gallon and you take a whiff. And then you're like, oh, it smells fine. And then you proceed to consume expired milk. Now, that is science. That is science for modern day, current living Americans. Like, there was a process when pasteurizing and producing milk for the American public that, hey, this milk will go bad on this date. We printed it on the gallon for you all to see. We all know, we're all educated Americans. We know exactly where to look when you buy milk. We know, like when we're going shopping, we're shopping for milk, we will find the milk that has the furthest date that we're going to buy that one because we know, hey, I might not be able to drink all of this, within the expiration date. But this one says October 4th that it'll expire. Right now, it's September 25th. But this one says it expires in, this one says October 4th, but this one right here says October 9th. Well, naturally, I'm going to get the one that gives me 5 extra days of this milk in case I'm not able to drink it within the days of this milk. So I'm going to get this milk. We understand and we are trained and wired to look at expiration dates on everything that we have because everything is processed here. Everything is mass manufactured, mass produced. So we know that all this food here eventually will go bad after a period of time. And we are trained to, at least I am, to get the one that's the furthest date in the future. That way I could, say that this is a better value than the one that will expire 4 days before this one. We're trained for that. We know that. That's embedded in our brains, and that's honestly how most of us shop. Of course, if there isn't enough milk, right? If there is maybe only one left, and it expires within 6 days of when you buy it. I mean, you're going to buy it, right? Unless, you're like, sorry, I'm just, I have higher standards for my milk expiration date. I need at least this many days where I could, spread it out and use this milk, which I get. In a way, you are spending that, $5 on a gallon of milk to last you a good amount of days. Like it's like a milk subscription. You're like thinking to yourself, is this milk, which is worth $5, worth having in my fridge for X amount of days? You always want to break down, like, at least I do as a consumer, like, is this worth the money? Is this worth it? Milk. It even boils down to something that's so simple as purchasing milk, right? Is this milk the value of $5 for this, from this date to this date? Is it going to be worth it? Or do I want the same price for this milk, which will give me an extra 3 days in the fridge, rather than this one right here, which will not. It's all kind of wired into our brains. Like, we know what to look for. We know our brands, and we know expiration dates. We always get the furthest one because we always expect that, hey, we want to prepare. What if I can't consume this within the time? I want a little bit more extra time. And I don't want to, I don't want to, play a guessing game with the expiration dates when the time does come, because I don't know about you guys, but for the most part with milk, for me, I have consumed it, when it's past the expiration date, and it has not normally been a bad experience. I'm talking like 1 to 2 days past the date, right? If it's like 6, I'm just not even gonna even attempt it. I'm just gonna pour it down the drain because I know it's bad, But if it's like 1 or 2, I'll experiment. Yeah, I'll take the bullet. I'll sniff the milk, and if it's bad, I'll be like, oof. I think it's maybe like one time in my life where I did smell the milk, and it was bad. I was like, oh boy, this is terrible. Now I know what it smells like. And it was actually before the expiration date, which is wild, because I trust that date. That date, to me, is certified by these milk producers, these milk companies, and they know by the science of how they, pasteurize the milk, because it's not just, from the cow. They put in like this giant like boiling pot, and really, and clean out the milk from all the stuff that's, bacteria that's just from the cow, and they pasteurize it and make it like, more consumable for humans, and, get rid of some of the lactose that will fucking like make us, shit our brains out and shit. And it's like a science. It's like a biochemistry. It's like food chemistry, how they make the milk. So I'm trusting that, that expiration date, when it says that, because it's been approved by like the FDA and shit like that, So maybe it was just a misprint. Maybe, a misprinted expiration date, which, I was surprised. You're kind of shocked when you see milk that is supposed to expire within 3 days from today, and you take a whiff, just, because, and it's like, oh, this is already bad. It's like a betrayal. It's like an actual betrayal. It's not something that you want to experience. And I know it's a minor problem, but it is a problem that does occur, and it could be actually dramatic. It could be also traumatic. What if you did not smell that milk before because you expected it to be good, because it had not come yet to the expiration date? Like, you had time before it actually expired, quote unquote expired. And you're like, oh, I trust this. I trust it fully. I am putting my entire trust and my entire well-being right now, and essentially my day so far, in the trust of this expiration date, that I will have a pleasant bowl of cereal that tastes great. And you pour the cereal, you're not really smelling, you're not really checking, and then you take a bite, and then immediately your day is ruined. Now, I've never had spoiled milk before. Like, I've never tasted it. I've smelled it, but I can only imagine that the taste is far worse than the smell. The smell is bad, don't get me wrong. But I can only imagine it actually, you actually tasting it and potentially, like, swallowing it would be horrendous, would just be awful. I mean, traumatizing. When you have a bad experience with food, and, before the experience, you love the food. You thought it was great. It was one of your favorite things. It was a treat. It was a pleasure, a guilty pleasure, a food pleasure that you would partake in, and you loved it. And believe me, like, I've been there, right? I have had experiences with food that are just like unbelievable. There was this burger shop that I would go to when I was in college with a buddy of mine. Sold really, really good burgers. really good. Like not just like basic like cheeseburgers or like double cheeseburgers or just like bacon cheeseburgers, but there was a burger that I would get that would have like bacon and pastrami. And it was really good. It was so good. I got it like every time I went there. I go like maybe like a couple times a month, maybe sometimes once a week. I mean, it was like a really good place. I really liked the burgers there. Would bring some of my other friends because I'm like, hey, this place is so good. Like it's really, really good. Let's just go. It's the best. And one day I went, and the next morning I had gotten food poisoning. And the only thing that I was like, I was fine up until after I ate this. And boom, food poisoning, vomiting, stomach ache. And you guys know, my audience knows, people who listen to this know, people who I know, my friends who listen to this, they know how much I hate vomiting. I hate it. I get it. You have to do it, right? It is part of being sick to relieve yourself, to evacuate the toxin that is in your body that is causing you to feel this way. I understand that it is a part of it. You have to vomit. You can't just go number 2 and get rid of it. You can try, but it's not going to work. You have to evacuate it, expel it from your mouth. I understand that it is a bad thing. Excuse the lawn people, but it's a really bad feeling, which I ultimately just cannot stand. But that burger place gave me food poisoning, and I have not been there since, because now I have an issue with it. I have like a trust issue. Like I just I know it tastes good, but that experience, man, it's traumatizing. It really is. My brother used to have it with certain foods when we were growing up. Like I think it was when we were kids. There was like a couple food items that we loved when we were younger, and then one day we had it, and then he got food poisoning after, and he got sick from it, and he just never went back. You developed like this mental hurdle that with foods where it becomes like an experience, like like what happened after you ate this, and possibly that it could have just been like a bad batch of something, right? Maybe anything, right? And that now it's better. Now it's not going to happen, but you just can't really get over that hurdle because of the experience that you had from it, and it just was not a very good experience. And that happens to a lot of people. It's happened to me. Trust issues with food is something that is unfortunately things that do happen. And as much as like things in this country, like food wise, for the most part is like super processed, super I guess you could say like clean, like a lot of things, here that are like made like in like fast food restaurants and like mass produced are like pretty, besides like, being healthy for you, they're like pretty clean in terms of like, like having like a bacteria, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to have like a neurovirus or, E. coli or like salmonella. Like a lot of stuff in the United States that's like sold like massively is like pretty clean in that sense. So like if like salmonella or E. coli like get past it, it's pretty rare. It's like a lot of it's like cleaned out. A lot of stuff that you buy, like if you want to buy like hot dogs, or those are like pre-cooked. Chicken tenders or like pre-fried. Like breakfast sausages that are frozen are pre-cooked. So like a lot of things are like clean in that sense. Like a lot of it's like not going to make you sick. So like we kind of expect like, oh, we're not going to get sick from this. I mean, this is, passed by like, so many people, like FDA, these food testers, like they're going to check for all that stuff. I mean, why would they send like bags and bags and bags of frozen breakfast sausages that have like E. coli, It's just not heard of. It's not like going to happen as often as you think, right? But sometimes, it does get through. And, you could be one of those unlucky people that just E. coli outbreak from frozen chicken strips. And then it's like, what? How did this even happen to me? This is supposed to be like super processed and pre-cooked, and everything should be clean, and it's like you don't expect it, right? But then it happens, and it does happen. You see it in the news all the time with like recalls and shit like that. Don't go to this place or stay away from this meat for now before they're taking it all off the shelves because it's been contaminated. We're human. We make mistakes. It does happen. But it's unfortunate. And if you're a part of it, like you accidentally get some of that contaminated food, it is not good. Truly is not good. Moving on to some gaming news. We actually got some news from Halo. 343 Studios. The studios behind Halo 4, 5, Infinite have been rebranded to Halo Studios and have come out and said that they're right now developing new Halo projects using the Unreal Engine. I believe it's Unreal Engine 5 that is being used to make future Halo games. And Halo Studios, previously 343 Studios, like I just said, put out a video of them, announcing that they've changed to Halo Studios, that they're currently working on new projects and showing off some concepts of what the games, or one of the games, is going to look like, how it's going to, how they're super excited to be using this engine to make future Halo installments, how they're super excited about, the technical leap that Unreal Engine 5 is going to provide them. And now that they're going to be able to have totally shift the focus from not just making an engine, but to making the game and solely the game. Because if you remember, back when Halo Infinite was announced, they announced not only the game, but it's going to be running on a new engine called the Slipspace engine, which ultimately was scrapped, and Halo Infinite launch was just a souped-up Halo 5 engine. So, that whole, hype, the press behind it, the build up, the announcement, the announcement, and then the build up to a new Halo game at that time being Infinite with a new engine was pretty much a disaster. It never happened. It did not go as planned, and it was of course, a goal that they wanted to meet. They're like, you know what, we can make our own engine and have Halo Infinite running on it, and it will be a challenge. It will be unique. This is something that we're confident in taking on, that we can do. And honestly, I respected that, I respect that endeavor. I respect that mindset of like, hey, we're going to make a new engine and a new Halo game running on that engine, specifically to run this new Halo game. I respect that because that is challenging yourself to go above and beyond to make something what they thought was going to be great. I respect that. I really do, because you don't really get that in a lot of games today. They just kind of stick with their engine that they have. They don't really update it, and they just make a new installment, and they don't really, make a new game feel like a new game. I respect that. I really do. But unfortunately, it did not pan out that way. They used a souped up Halo 5 engine that's been tweaked a little bit, but still the same engine, which isn't totally bad, but like they did kind of say that they were going to make this new engine. Now, unfortunately, they failed on that, which, obviously, hey, you failed, right? It's a part of life. It's a part of, it's a part of the work life. It's a part of personal life. You're going to fail at things, right? The thing that you can take away from failure is to learn from failure and not repeat that failure. So now, after they failed, they will now be using Unreal Engine 5 to run Halo games in the future, which is, I think ultimately a good decision. They're learning from their mistakes. They made a promise that they were going to make a new engine and Halo Infinite is going to run on it, and they could not do both clearly, and I think that, even though I right now, Halo to me is kind of like hit or miss. It's always a franchise I really, really love. I was, blown away by it when we first played it when we were kids. It was always something that was like entertaining, fun, really cool story, fun gameplay. It was awesome. I loved Halo. And I think that Halo can be so much better. And I think that, seeing the test gameplay, the test game footage in Unreal 5 looks really good. The potential's there. But now it's up to Halo Studios to make a really good Halo game, with content, with a good story, and to just make Halo fun for everybody. I think that with Infinite, the campaign was fantastic. It was fantastic, and the launch multiplayer was really good too at launch. It was really fun. There was a lot of good things when it came out at launch. A couple missing modes, a couple missing features. Not features, but just like lackluster modes. Not the best map select, or not the biggest map selection either. And it honestly kind of died a little bit, maybe after a month of playing. Even though I thought it was a really fun game. It was a really fun gameplay and a really fun game. And the campaign was really good too when it came out. But ultimately, I thought that with Infinite, it just wasn't a fast enough, development of the content, specifically in multiplayer, causing a lot of players to just leave the game and not play it, even though it's still a fun game. And I go back to it from time to time, and it is still a fun game. But I think that when you're kind of slow with the turnaround and the output of the content and the playlist and whatever that may be, it could lead to a lot of players leaving, and that's what happened. I think that when they focus on this new Halo project and projects in the future, they don't have to build an engine. They can just focus on the game and focus on the content of the game. They will be able to make a really, really good Halo game that I think will eventually, stand the test of time and be really good, I think. They seem super confident when they put out this video explaining what their plan is to do. And I'll be honest, the way it looks really good. And it looks super cool. It looks very crisp. I expect it to sort of look like how they showed it because Unreal Engine 5 exists. It's not like a super hidden project, right? It's been revealed. We know how it looks and what to expect. And I'm pretty sure it's going to look like the way that they, or pretty similar to how they presented it in their recent video of the dawn, or it's called the new dawn of Halo, My one concern, though, is what they showed off was a lot of, stills, images of, Master Chief, elites, locations that you could kind of get a feel of this might be a Halo 1 reboot, or not reboot, but Halo 1 remake. Because I heard that the plan was the next Halo game is going to be a remake of Halo 1, Combat Evolved. And now seeing the images and the stills that they put out of this new Dawn of Halo, a lot of Master Chief in it was Master Chief from Halo Combat Evolved. Like his armor and all that. The elites looked just like that too. The locations that they had, even though like Halo's like traditionally like the biome of Halo that is normally like in Halo games is very, very much like based off of like foresty, snowy waterfalls, like Pacific Northwest type of biomes, environments. So when I saw this, I was like, this is very Halo-y, kind of like Halo 1-y, which, I'm cool with. I like that location. I like that biome. It's interesting, that the Halo ring is like that. That entire Halo ring is kind of like that biome. It's cool. But if we're gonna be getting a remake of Halo 1, one that could be really cool, campaign-wise, because the campaign, while it has its lackluster levels and missions, it's still a really good game. Like it's still like a really, really, really good game that has a lot of fun gameplay in it, and it's a fun campaign. I just think that if they're going to be focusing on like making a remake of Halo Combat Evolved, that we're just going to be like, we already know what to expect, right? So it's not really going to be like what are we going to get? Or what's new in Halo? If we're going to be retreading and just remaking Halo 1 with Unreal Engine 5, you can make the argument, that this is just kind of a lazy installment, that this is not really where we want to go. Like, I know that people are going to probably be excited, right? If it's announced, Halo Combat Evolved remake on Unreal Engine. That's going to be, a huge talking point. That's going to be a huge game announcement. It's going to be like getting people excited. It's going to be getting people hyped up. We're going to see the images. We're going to see the gameplay. Like, oh, this is so cool. This is so sick. This is just like back in the day. But remake in Unreal Engine. But once we get our hands on the game, I just know what the discourse is going to be. Well, I mean, I played this before. I've already played this. Yeah, I played this like 20 years ago or whenever I played it, This is cool, but this is old. This is nothing new. I just feel like nowadays in consuming medium, we want new. We just want new. We don't care if it's a remake version of something that we like or that we played when we were younger. That was, cool back then, still cool now. But I can go back right now and play Halo Combat Evolved remastered, and it's going to be the same exact thing. I know what to expect, And when I know what to expect, anticipation, excitement, for me, plummets almost. So, yeah, it could be cool to get a Halo Combat Evolved remake on Unreal Engine. It could be something that's like really technologically beautiful and just pleasing and like just like awesome. But I mean, like, it's gonna be the same thing, which I don't know if I can be excited for if it's something that is on Unreal Engine and is completely new. I mean, like, there's a threshold, there's a bar of my excitement, and I don't think that if it's a Halo Combat Evolved remake that it could exceed that bar of excitement. Like, I just think that my excitement would be capped out at this, and I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Will it be for the current retail price of video games at $70 for a remake? I understand that it's going to be a completely new looking game, but it's still the same game. I'm not paying for anything new. I don't know. From what I could tell from that Bungie video, a lot of it looked like Halo 1. Now, was that goal to show like, it's gonna that they're like clues and hints that it's gonna be a Halo 1 remake. And that was the current rumors that were cycling before this announcement. That video could have confirmed it. That could be confirmation that, hey, this is going to be the Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved remake that's going to be happening. It's confirmed that all the stuff that we saw was Halo 1 based. Could be. I think that it is going to be that we will be getting a Halo 1 Combat Evolved remake. And ultimately, yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Is it the most excited I could be for a Halo game? No. Cool? Sure. Maybe this is like their first like steps using the new Unreal Engine on Halo. Like they want to, make this first, see what they can do, kind of test it out. And then after that, they'll make their new Halo, their truly new Halo game, their sequel to Halo Infinite, their continuation of that story. Because, like I said, I really, really, really loved Halo Infinite. I thought it was a really good game. Like, it was so much fun. And I haven't played it in co-op yet, but I will with my friends. We're actually planning to do that. But it was a really fun game. Like, I would love to see a continuation of that story. And that with that similar gameplay, similar mechanics. I thought it was really, really cool. Really good. And I would love to see a continuation of that, even in Unreal Engine. Like, that could look really, really good. My one issue, though, with using Unreal Engine is that it'll be a little too... and this is just because Fortnite has literally plagued everything that's Unreal Engine, because that's like who created Unreal Engine was the people in Fortnite. I'm afraid that because of how successful Fortnite is, that they will begin to cater games and making games like this new Halo kind of feel more and more like Fortnite. Like, yes, they'll keep like Halo at its core, like true to first-person Halo, right? But I feel like also they might like be adding like alternative modes in Halo with Unreal Engine that are catering to more Fortnite players, and just kind of make it a big like, oh, well, Fortnite is so successful, let's make our game like Fortnite. I really, really hate Fortnite. I hate it so much, and I don't want any part of Fortnite in Halo. But ultimately, that's not going to happen because Unreal Engine is going to be making Halo now. So, I mean, I as a gamer cannot win. I realize that I'm no longer the target audience. I don't matter anymore. I truly don't matter. And yeah, that's just my life now. I don't matter as a gamer. Close out the show with some NFL news. Yeah, NFL Week 5 recap. First and foremost, big news this week. Now, I'm recording this on Wednesday. Aaron Rodgers is currently on the Pat McAfee show today. So I will not have the full details, the full side of the story when it comes to this, what I'm about to talk about. But Robert Saleh, the head coach of the former head coach of the New York Jets, has been fired. Was fired on Tuesday. Came to work at the facility and was brought to the news of, hey, you're fired, get out. Now, ultimately, Robert Saleh had not had a good record as Jets head coach. It was not very good. So I imagine that the firing was kind of a short, a quick time decision. I don't really know if it was a decision that was thought up for that long. I do think that it was kind of a quick move, like, hey, we just lost a game in London. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look very happy. He looks very, mad, pissed off, disappointed, frustrated. And you see it all the time, like games in the past, like Aaron Rodgers just looks really, really unhappy out there. And I think what happened was The owners of the Jets, the GM, owner, whatever you want to call it, made the decision like, hey, Robert Saleh, we like you. We do like you, but we like Aaron Rodgers more. And, we're going to pick Aaron Rodgers over you in terms of how we see the future of this team going forward. So we are going to stick with Aaron Rodgers because we know that he is what he's capable of. Even though he is an older quarterback, he does look slow. I will admit, when you watch him play out there, he looks distinguishably older. Like, you can tell that he is just not as spry, as quick as he used to be. But they decided, hey, we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers and keep him as the starting quarterback and let you go as the former head coach. And now they promoted the defensive coordinator as the interim head coach. And Aaron Rodgers is staying. And I truly, truly believe that was the decision process of what had happened. Like, they had to choose between who are we going to make happy? Or how can we make Aaron Rodgers happy? What does that look like? And, we've seen on the sidelines of games in the past where Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh look like they're not on the same page. They had a weird hug moment where he kind of shoved away Robert Saleh. They've had moments on the sideline where they look like they don't get along. It looks weird. It's a little concerning for us to see that as people, as fans, people in the media, what they're going to talk about. The relationship there did not look like it was very strong. Like, it was kind of like crumbling, falling apart. The offense looked really bad at most times. It looked like it could not get going. And usually in the NFL, when they see this happening, they don't bench the quarterback. They don't fire the quarterback. Most of the times they fire the head coach. And Robert Saleh seems like he was the one who was like the most like, we got to change something. We got to change something quick. And he was like the ultimate sacrifice. Like, they had to sacrifice and fire Robert Saleh to keep their season alive. Now, whether that totally, makes the Jets better, like they could start to run off some wins and continue to keep on going and possibly improve on their season. We have yet to see that. We will see that in the weeks coming. If it was truly Robert Saleh, and the team was more behind Aaron Rodgers than Robert Saleh, or what happened there, what was the discourse like? What was the vibe of the locker room? We will soon find out and determine for ourselves if Robert Saleh was the actual problem, or if because of the way that they started, he was just someone who had to be let go to change up the vibe, because something just wasn't clicking there, whether it be him or Rodgers. I guess we'll see. But that's kind of the biggest breaking news that was came out of the NFL this past week. Robert Saleh, the first head coach fired in the NFL this season. Now to break down some of the games that occurred in Week 5. There was a lot of games, of course, like every week, but we had some buys, which, let me be honest, man. I hate bye weeks. I hate them. I hate, not only as a fantasy owner, manager, buys are so annoying because you get less football and you can't, it just doesn't seem as special, as when everybody's playing, Big disappointment for me this week. The Rams lose to the Packers. The Packers win 24-19. The Rams have a bye this week, which is much needed. Possibly get Cooper Kupp back. maybe Puka Nacua just get healthy. I mean, we've been battling these games, these past few games, relentlessly. But right now, our team is pretty banged up. Like, we're 1-4 right now, which is pretty bad in terms of a professional football team of where you want to be at this point of the season. But ultimately, I think that this bye will help us out. I think that we need the rest. And I'm not trying to say like we are a weak team, like we're like a bunch of sissy lalas. But right now we are very depleted. We need the rest. We need to regroup and reset, refocus, and hopefully go off on like a 10-game winning streak. That could be that this bye could be so important to our team. The Falcons beat the Buccaneers. The Falcons win 36-30. The Falcons are so for real, man. Kirko is playing his balls off. Drake London is emerging as one of the best receivers in the league. Bijan Robinson is playing really good, but so is Tampa Bay. Like Baker Mayfield is like having he had this last year in Tampa as well, but he's continuing his like reemergence in the league as like a really good quarterback that can win you multiple games in this league. I know he kind of had like a mini downfall when he was forced out of Cleveland. He had a really bad year in Carolina. Didn't do much for the Rams either. But he has like had like a rebirth and a resurgence in Tampa Bay, and he's looking really good. The Bears beat the Panthers 36-10. Caleb Williams has his best game as a Bear. They seem to be rolling. The Andy Dalton, replacement, backup coming in to start seems to not really be working, even though that the Bears have a really, really, really good defense that is for real. Seem to be running out of the magic that they had with Andy Dalton. They've won, I think, one game with Andy Dalton, and it just hasn't been very good since. So maybe that magic has run out. The Ravens beat the Bengals 41-38. The Bengals are in big trouble, being 1-4. With a team as much talent as they have, their defense is not very good. And they really have to play so well against really good teams like the Ravens to have a chance. And this was a great game. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson had really, really, really good games. But ultimately, the Bengals are in big trouble. Like where they're at right now with the team that they have, I know their defense isn't that great, but it's not looking good for them. And it might be if they're like in these games, they're kind of like the Rams. Like they're like they have a weaker side, they have a weak spot, right? And they're in these games, they just can't win these games. And when you can't win, your losses pile up, and now against divisional opponents, it's bad for seeding, it's bad for playoff hopes. It's like it's all like coming. It's gonna come crashing down pretty soon if they can't start to win these games. Let's see. Commanders beat the Browns 34-13. Jaden Daniels is for real. He's the real deal. He has cemented himself as a starting quarterback in this league that can do a lot of things. I mean, he could run. He knows when to run. He could throw the ball deep. He can surgically pick apart defenses. This guy is the real deal, man. And, the Browns are just so bad that they just had no fight in them. This Deshaun Watson looks terrible, uninspired. Doesn't give the defense much of a chance when they just can't score. And now the morale is so down on that team that it just looks terrible, while the Commanders look like they're just humming and just rolling on all cylinders. Like they are a good team and a fun and exciting team to watch. And it's because of, I think, Jaden Daniels. He just opens up so many ways for them to score the football. So many things that they could do. He's so dynamic. It's just fun to watch over there. Cardinals steal a game against the 49ers, and they win 24-23. And man, like Brock Purdy, I mean, he's good. He's really good, but Kyler Murray, man, he is having a season right now. He has like come back full swing, and like people were doubting this guy as a bust. It's just like he doesn't really care about football, but he has been playing lights out and really good this season. And Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. Like this is just a really, also kind of like the Commanders, a really, really fun team to watch. And Kyler Murray is still super fast. Like he's fast as fuck. Like that play where he ran for that touchdown, he knew he was going to score. He put his finger up like that, and it's just like, wow, he just blazed past all those DBs. And they had no chance of catching him. It was like, what the fuck? It was unbelievable. The Cowboys beat the Steelers 20-17. Kind of stole that game, to be honest. They needed that. You know, TJ Watt gets 100 sacks in that game. That dude's a beast. He is unreal. He is so dominant, and he's so fun to watch. He's just a monster. He pressures quarterbacks so much, and it's just like, it's crazy how he does that. You know, game in and game out. 100 sacks. That's insane. He's been in the league since 2017, I think. So he's still very, very, very young in the league. But he's just been a monster. Last game I'll talk about, the Chiefs 26, Saints 13. The Chiefs still continue to win. They're undefeated still. Even though that they play like not really fun football, they don't really play exciting football. They did have that one Travis Kelce lateral, which was cool. But Travis Kelce, I'll be honest, man, he looks pretty slow. He looks like he's a little out of shape, a little just a bit slower, not as quick, not as athletic. Just doesn't really look like he's Travis Kelce, you know, like dominant, like open Travis Kelce, running down the field Travis Kelce, catch and run Travis Kelce, like just surgically like placed and like knows where to go Travis Kelce. Looks like a shell of himself. And it could be because he's a little bit slower, that he's not being able to get into those creases and finding those gaps in the defense. But ultimately, he looks very disappointing. And so do the Chiefs. Even though they're undefeated, they still look disappointing. They still just don't really seem like they're, you know, the best team in the NFL. Even though they are, record-wise, they're still undefeated. They are a good team. They just don't seem like they are when you watch them. They look really like stop and go, disjointed. Don't really get like much of an offensive flow. Just kind of boring to watch. Even though they scored 26 points, it's just not like that fun, you know. Kind of lackluster and just not really exciting football. Yeah. And that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.